You are not poor because of circumstances. You are poor because of a spell you cannot see. Listen, right now, in this very moment, there is an invisible force field around your life. You reach for more, and your hand stops at a boundary you never consciously agreed to. You work harder, learn more, do everything right, and somehow, you end up in the same place, the same income bracket, the same financial anxiety, the same distance from the prosperity you can see but never quite touch. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about money is a carefully constructed prison? Not made of iron bars, but of words. Not locked with keys, but with beliefs. Not guarded by wardens, but by the voices of everyone who ever told you what you could and couldn't have. This is the money spell, and you've been under it your entire life. Picture this. An invisible glass ceiling hovering just above your head. You can see through it. You can see others living above it. But every time you rise, you hit that ceiling and fall back down. You've hit it so many times you've stopped trying. You've hit it so many times you've convinced yourself it's the sky. Or imagine phantom chains around your wrists. You can't see them. You can't touch them. But they're there, pulling you back every time you reach for something greater. Back to the familiar. Back to what feels safe. Back to the financial reality your family, your culture, your childhood taught you was your place. Here's the thing about spells. They don't announce themselves. They masquerade as reality, as common sense, as just the way things are. You've been walking around with walls you keep rebuilding, and you think you're protecting yourself, but you're not. You're imprisoning yourself with materials handed to you by people who were imprisoned before you. This isn't your fault, but it is your breaking point. By the end of this journey, you will see the spell. You will name it, and you will break it. Not with more hustle, not with another side gig or investment strategy or budgeting app. Those have their place, but they're rearranging furniture in a locked room. We're going to find the key. We're going to walk through the door you didn't know existed. This isn't about tips or tricks. This isn't about 10 ways to save money, or the secret millionaires don't want you to know. This is about liberation. Liberation from patterns that have been passed down through generations like heirlooms, except these heirlooms are curses. Your grandmother's fear, your father's shame, your community's collective agreement about what people like you are allowed to have. The spell has 3 primary components, 3 invisible barriers that have been blocking your prosperity since before you could speak. They were installed in your consciousness through repetition, through authority, through emotional intensity, through unquestioned acceptance. The scarcity trance, the hypnotic state that makes you see only lack no matter how much you actually have. The unworthiness covenant, the hidden agreement that you don't deserve wealth, that you're somehow not qualified for ease and abundance. And the prosperity ceiling, the invisible upper limit beyond which you unconsciously refuse to rise, no matter how hard you try. These 3 barriers form the architecture of your financial cage. But here's what they don't want you to know. The cage was never locked. You've been holding the door closed from the inside. The spell is about to break. Are you ready to see what you couldn't see before? Conceptual framework. Understanding the money spell. Let me tell you what a money spell actually is. It's not magic. It's not supernatural. It's far more mundane and far more powerful. A money spell is the invisible architecture of belief that governs your relationship with prosperity. It's the inherited narratives passed down through generations like heirlooms you never asked for. It's the unconscious agreements you made before you were old enough to know you were signing contracts. It's the stories about money, about wealth, about who deserves what and why. Stories so deeply embedded in your consciousness that you mistake them for truth itself. Here's how spells are cast. Through repetition. The same phrases spoken over and over until they become the background music of your mind. Through authority figures, parents, teachers, religious leaders, voices you trusted when you were too young to question. Through emotional intensity, the fights about bills, the anxiety in your mother's voice, the shame in your father's eyes. Emotions etch beliefs deeper than logic ever could. And through unquestioned acceptance. You absorbed these beliefs the way you absorbed language, naturally, automatically, without conscious consent. Let me show you what I mean. There's an old parable about the elephant and the rope. When a baby elephant is first captured, trainers tie it to a stake with a heavy rope. The young elephant pulls and strains, but it cannot break free. It tries again and again, but the rope holds. Eventually, the elephant stops trying. Years pass. The elephant grows massive, powerful, strong enough to uproot trees, strong enough to carry tremendous weight. But the trainers no longer need the heavy rope. Now, a thin cord is enough, sometimes just a thread. The elephant could snap it with barely any effort, but it doesn't. It doesn't even try. The restraint is no longer physical. It's mental. The rope is gone, but the spell remains. This is you with money. The original restraints, the circumstances of your childhood, the limitations of your family's finances, the scarcity you once lived in, those might be long gone. But the spell persists. You carry invisible ropes that no longer exist anywhere except in your mind. Now let me name the 3 barriers that form the walls of your financial cage. The first is the scarcity trance, the hypnotic state in which you see only lack, regardless of what you actually have. It's the lens through which abundance becomes invisible. The second is the unworthiness covenant, the binding agreement made somewhere in your past, that you are not deserving of wealth, of ease, of prosperity. It's the voice that says, "Who am I to have more?" The third is the prosperity ceiling, the invisible upper limit beyond which you unconsciously refuse to rise. It's the thermostat that keeps resetting your wealth to a familiar, uncomfortable set point. These barriers are invisible for one simple reason. They masquerade as reality. They don't announce themselves as beliefs. They present themselves as facts, as just how things are, as wisdom, as common sense. Money doesn't grow on trees. Sounds like wisdom, functions like a spell. I'm just not good with money. Sounds like self-awareness, functions like a curse. People like us don't get rich. Sounds like realism, functions like a prison sentence. Here's the framework you need to understand. Beliefs create perception. What you believe about money determines what you see, what you notice, what you consider possible. Perception creates action. What you see determines what you do, what opportunities you pursue, what risks you take or avoid. Action creates results. What you do determines what you get, what you build, what you accumulate or lose. And results reinforce beliefs. What you get becomes evidence that your original belief was correct. The loop closes. The spell tightens. Listen carefully. You were taught that money was scarce. You were told that wealth was for other people. You were shown that wanting more made you greedy. You were taught to be grateful for crumbs while calling it contentment. You were told that poverty was noble while prosperity was suspect. You were shown, again and again, that your place was here, at this level, in this limitation. And you believed it. Not because you were foolish, but because you were human. Because you were young. Because the voices were loud, and the emotions were real, and the evidence seemed overwhelming. But here's what I need you to understand. Each barrier has a breaking point. Each spell has a counter-incantation. Each wall has a weak spot where the light gets in, and you're about to learn exactly where to strike. Barrier 1. The scarcity trance. When lack becomes your lens, the first barrier has a name. It is called the scarcity trance. And right now, as you hear these words, there is a strong possibility, no, a likelihood, that you are in it. That you have been in it for so long, you think it is simply the way you see, the way things are. The scarcity trance is a hypnotic state, a waking sleep. It is the condition in which your mind perceives only limitation, only lack, only what is missing, regardless of what you actually possess, regardless of the resources that surround you, regardless of the opportunities that present themselves daily. Picture this. You are walking through a garden, a genuine garden of abundance. Fruit trees heavy with harvest, flowers in full bloom, soil rich and dark and teeming with life. But you see none of it. Your eyes track only to the thorns, to the wilted leaves in the corner, to the single brown patch of grass, to the fence that marks the boundary rather than the acres within it. This is not metaphor. This is your daily experience. You earn more than your parents ever did, yet you feel broke. You have a roof, food, clothing, technology your grandparents would have called miraculous, and still, the dominant feeling is not enough. Never enough. The sensation of scarcity hums beneath every financial decision like a low-grade fever you've learned to ignore. I know a man, let's call him Marcus, who doubled his income in 3 years. Doubled it. From $40,000 to $80,000 annually. And when I asked him how it felt, do you know what he said? I'm more anxious about money now than I was before. More anxious. With twice the resources, this is the trance. This is the spell at work. Because scarcity, true scarcity, is not about the numbers in your account. It is not about your salary or your savings or your square footage. Scarcity is about the story your mind tells about those numbers. The narrative that runs on loop beneath your conscious awareness, narrating your financial reality with the vocabulary of lack. We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Do you think I'm made of money? There's never enough. These phrases are incantations. Each repetition deepens the trance. Each hearing, whether you spoke the words or simply absorbed them from the mouths of parents, teachers, pastors, friends, carved a groove in your perception, built a filter, installed a lens through which all financial information must pass. And here is what you must understand. This lens does not show you reality. It shows you a distorted version of reality, bent toward lack, tilted toward limitation, magnifying every obstacle and minimizing every resource. This is what I call scarcity inheritance. You did not choose this lens. You inherited it. You absorbed it from your mother's tight jaw when the bills came, from your father's defeated slump after another rejection, from the whispered arguments through the bedroom wall about money. Always money, never enough money. You absorbed it from a culture that preaches scarcity as realism and abundance as delusion. From a community that polices aspiration with suspicion and cuts down tall poppies with ruthless efficiency. The financial anxiety that lives in your chest, that tightness, That constant low-level panic did not originate with you. It was handed down like an heirloom, passed along like a family recipe. You learned it the way you learned language, through immersion, repetition, and the unquestioned authority of those who raised you. Listen closely. This is not your fault. You were a child. You were permeable. You were designed to absorb the worldview of your caregivers because that is how humans survive. You could not have resisted this programming any more than you could have resisted learning to walk. But, and hear this with equal clarity, it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility now, as an adult, as a conscious being, to recognize the trance for what it is, to name it, to see that the glasses you are wearing are not your eyes. Because here is the terrible genius of the scarcity trance. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you perceive lack, you make scarcity-confirming decisions. You don't apply for the position because someone more qualified will get it anyway. You don't ask for the raise because the company probably can't afford it. You don't invest in the training, the tool, the opportunity because what if it doesn't work out? You hoard rather than circulate. You grasp rather than release. You operate from fear rather than vision. And then, of course, your external reality begins to match your internal narrative. The prophecy fulfills itself. The trance deepens. The evidence mounts. See? The voice whispers. I told you there wasn't enough. I told you it wouldn't work. I told you that you couldn't afford it. The trance tightens its grip. You have been wearing these glasses so long you forgot they weren't your eyes. You have been seeing through this filter so consistently you mistook it for sight itself. The distortion became your baseline. The limitation became your reality. But it is not reality. It is a spell. And every spell, no matter how old, no matter how deeply embedded, has a breaking point. The garden is still there. The abundance has always been there. The resources, the opportunities, the possibilities, they have been present all along, waiting for you to adjust your vision, to clean the lens, to remove the glasses entirely and see with unclouded eyes. You are not poor because you lack resources. You are poor because you have been hypnotized into seeing only scarcity in the midst of plenty. The first wall of the invisible cage is this: the scarcity trance, the hypnotic focus on lack that blinds you to abundance, the inherited anxiety that narrates every financial moment with the language of limitation. But the wall has a weak point. The trance has a counter-incantation. The spell can be broken. Here is how you wake up. Breaking Barrier 1. The Abundance Awakening Practice. Now we move from understanding to action, from diagnosis to remedy, from seeing the cage to dismantling it, bar by invisible bar. What follows is not theory. These are not suggestions. These are precise instruments designed to break the scarcity trance, to wake you from the hypnotic sleep that has kept you poor in the midst of plenty. Listen carefully. Write these down. Begin today. Exercise 1. The abundance inventory every morning before the world rushes in with its demands and distractions. You will document your existing wealth. Not the wealth you wish you had. Not the wealth you think you should have. The wealth that is already here. Take a blank page. At the top, write the date and this heading: Evidence of Abundance. Now list everything you possess that constitutes wealth. The roof over your head. Write it down. The water that flows when you turn the tap. Write it down. The food in your refrigerator, no matter how sparse. Write it down. The relationships that sustain you, friends who answer when you call, family who show up, strangers who smile. Write them down. your skills, your knowledge, your ability to read these words right now. Literacy is wealth. Your health, whatever measure of it you have, your time, your attention, your capacity to choose. Write it all down. Here is what you are doing. You are training your mind to perceive what is present rather than what is absent. You are teaching your eyes to see differently. The scarcity trance keeps you hypnotized by lack, every thought focused on the missing, the insufficient, the not enough. This inventory breaks the trance by redirecting your attention to reality. Abundance is not a destination you arrive at when you finally have enough. Abundance is a way of seeing what you already have. Do this every morning for 30 days. Watch what happens. Watch how the lens changes. Watch how opportunities you couldn't see before suddenly become visible, because you are no longer blind. Exercise 2. The scarcity language fast. For the next 21 days, you will eliminate every phrase of scarcity from your vocabulary. Every word that reinforces the trance must go. I can't afford that. Stop. Reframe. I'm choosing to prioritize differently right now. Do you feel the difference? The first phrase makes you a victim of circumstance. The second makes you sovereign, a person with agency and choice. Same financial reality, completely different consciousness. Money doesn't grow on trees. Stop. Reframe. I'm learning to cultivate multiple streams of income. We're barely getting by. Stop. Reframe. We're managing our resources intentionally while building toward more. I'm broke. Stop. Reframe. I'm between financial seasons. This is not word games. This is not pretending. Language shapes consciousness. Consciousness shapes perception. Perception shapes action. The words you speak are casting spells. Literally, etymologically, spells. You are either speaking yourself into poverty or speaking yourself into possibility. For 21 days, catch yourself. Every time a scarcity phrase rises to your lips, stop. Breathe. Reframe. Feel the shift in your chest when you say these words differently. Notice how your posture changes. Notice how your energy changes. Notice how the world responds to you differently when you stop announcing your limitation. Keep a small notebook. Each time you catch and reframe a scarcity phrase, mark it down. You are building awareness. You are interrupting the automatic program. You are waking up. Exercise 3. The gratitude ledger. Each evening before sleep, you will write 3 financial blessings. 3, not 30. Not an overwhelming list that becomes a burden. 3. Today I received a paycheck. Even though it felt small, it came. Today someone bought me coffee. I received without having to earn. Today I found a quarter in the parking lot. The universe is speaking the language of increase even in whispers. No blessing is too small. In fact, the smaller the blessing you can honor, the more powerful the practice becomes. You are teaching your consciousness to register prosperity at every level, to notice the movement of abundance in every form. Write them by hand, pen on paper. Let your body participate in the ritual. Let the act of writing anchor the awareness deeper than thought alone can reach. A warning. Now hear me clearly on this. What I am giving you is not spiritual bypassing. This is not toxic positivity. This is not pretending you're wealthy when your electricity is about to be shut off. If you are facing genuine financial crisis, if there is real, immediate hardship, these practices do not replace practical action. They do not replace budgeting, seeking help, making hard decisions, or getting support. What these practices do is break the hypnotic focus on lack. that prevents you from seeing solutions, opportunities, and resources that are actually available. The scarcity trance doesn't just make you feel poor, it makes you functionally poor by blinding you to pathways forward. These exercises open your eyes. They do not deny your challenges. They refuse to let your challenges define your entire reality. There is a difference between acknowledging, "I have $20 in my account," and living in the trance state of, "I am a person who will always be broke." One is a fact. The other is a spell. We are breaking the spell. The dissolution begins. Do you feel it? The first wall of the cage is beginning to dissolve. Not because you've suddenly become rich, but because you are no longer imprisoned by the story of your poverty. You are learning to see with unclouded eyes. You are learning to speak with unbound tongue. You are learning to name your blessings before they grow large enough to demand your attention. The scarcity trance is losing its grip. But there is a second barrier, more insidious than the first. A deeper prison, built not from lack, but from shame. The unworthiness covenant is waiting, and it will not release you easily. Barrier 2. The unworthiness covenant, the hidden agreement that you don't deserve. Listen carefully. The scarcity trance teaches you to see lack where abundance exists. But the unworthiness covenant, this second barrier, is far more vicious. It whispers something darker. Even if there were abundance, it would not be for you. The unworthiness covenant is an invisible contract, signed in childhood, written in invisible ink, bound with chains you cannot see. It is the unconscious agreement that you, specifically you, do not deserve wealth, success, or ease. That prosperity is for others. That you must settle for less. That wanting more is not just foolish. It is morally wrong. You do not remember signing this contract, but you have been honoring its terms your entire life. Let me show you how it was written. There was a child, perhaps you know this child, perhaps you were this child, who one day expressed a desire, a toy, a trip, a dream that required money the family did not have. And the parent, tired, overwhelmed, carrying their own covenant, said not just no, but don't be greedy. Or perhaps, money doesn't grow on trees. Or perhaps, who do you think you are? The child learned something in that moment. Not about money, about worthiness. The lesson was this: to want is to be selfish. To desire more is to be ungrateful. To reach beyond your station is to betray your people. And the child, tender, open, desperate for love, signed the covenant right there. I will not want too much. I will not ask for more. I will not rise above my place. I will be good by staying small. The contract was sealed, the agreement binding, and now, decades later, that child, grown into you, still honors those terms. You undercharge for your services because deep down, you believe you don't deserve full compensation. You sabotage opportunities just as they ripen because some hidden part of you believes you have no right to them. You refuse help when it's offered because receiving feels like theft. You feel guilty when things go well, as though prosperity itself is evidence of wrongdoing. This is not humility. This is the unworthiness covenant at work. The sources of this covenant are many, and they run deep. Perhaps it came from religious teaching, those well-meaning sermons about the virtue of poverty, the danger of wealth, the eye of the needle and the camel that cannot pass through. You learned that to be spiritual was to be poor, that God favored the lowly, that your suffering was somehow holy. Or perhaps it came from family dynamics, the unspoken rule that no one in your lineage was supposed to rise above a certain station. To succeed beyond your parents would be to shame them. To earn more than your siblings would be to betray them. Loyalty meant limitation. Or perhaps it came from cultural narratives, those invisible hierarchies that told you people like you, from places like yours, with backgrounds like yours, don't get to have that. Know your place. Stay in your lane. Don't get above yourself. All of these voices, repeated again and again, carved the covenant into your consciousness. I am not worthy of more than this. And here is the terrible poetry of it. The covenant was written in blood you don't remember shedding. You carry the wound, but you have forgotten the injury. You honor the agreement, but you never consented to its terms. Watch how it manifests. You finally land the big client and immediately underprice the work. You get the promotion and fall mysteriously ill the week before you start. You receive a compliment and deflect it, diminish it, dissolve it before it can land. You come into unexpected money, and within days your car breaks down, your tooth cracks, some emergency appears to siphon it away. This is not coincidence. This is the covenant enforcing its terms. You have been carrying a weight that was never yours to bear. Here is the paradox, and you must see it clearly. The unworthiness covenant disguises itself as humility. It whispers, I'm just being realistic. I'm just being humble. I'm just being grateful for what I have. But listen, true humility does not reject blessing. True humility does not sabotage opportunity. True humility does not insist that you are uniquely disqualified from the abundance available to others. The covenant is not humility. It is inverted pride. It says, I am so uniquely flawed, so particularly broken, so specially damaged that I alone do not deserve what others deserve. Do you see it? You have made yourself the exception. You have crowned yourself the one person in all of creation who must be denied. That is not modesty. That is arrogance wearing the mask of meekness. And there is a name for what you feel when things begin to go well. Prosperity guilt. That creeping discomfort when your bank account rises. That strange anxiety when opportunity knocks. That voice that says, this is too much. I don't deserve this. Something bad must be coming. Prosperity guilt is the covenant's alarm system. It activates whenever you approach the boundary of what you unconsciously believe you're allowed to have. And if you don't interrupt it, if you don't name it and refuse it, it will drive you back below the line, back into the familiar territory of lack, where you feel safe because you feel small. But here is the deeper truth, the spiritual reality that the covenant has hidden from you. Unworthiness is not humility. It is a rejection of your divine inheritance. You were not born to grovel. You were not created to shrink. You were not designed to apologize for your existence by making yourself poor. Whatever your spiritual framework, whether you speak of God, Source, Universe, or the sacred, the truth remains. You are an expression of the creative force that flung stars into being. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not cosmically disqualified from the goodness that flows through all of creation. To insist on your unworthiness is to spit on the gift of your existence. To refuse prosperity is to reject the abundance that seeks to move through you, not for your sake alone, but for all those your wealth could serve, uplift, and bless. You are not too broken to receive. You are not too late to begin. You are not too flawed to deserve. You are not too damaged to heal. You are not too small to rise. You are not too guilty to be free. The covenant was written by wounded people in a wounded world. It was never true. It was never yours. It was never binding. This barrier, this unworthiness covenant, does not keep you small to protect you. It keeps you small to punish you. For crimes you never committed. For sins you never performed. For debts you never incurred. You have been imprisoned for offenses that exist only in the distorted mirrors of inherited shame. The sentence is complete. The time is served. The covenant is void. But you must choose to see it. You must choose to name it. You must choose to break it. And that work, that holy, necessary, liberating work, begins now. Breaking Barrier 2, the Worthiness Reclamation Ritual. Now we enter sacred ground. This work cannot be done in your head alone. The unworthiness covenant was not written in words. It was carved into your body, embedded in your nervous system, encoded in the way you hold yourself when you enter a room. To break it, you must engage the body. You must enact the severance. You must perform the ritual of reclamation. Listen carefully. What I'm about to share is not metaphorical. It is literal instruction for liberation. Exercise 1. The covenant burning, find a quiet space. A place where you will not be disturbed. Take paper, blank, clean, waiting, and write out every unworthiness belief you carry about money. Write them as confessions. Write them as accusations. Write them exactly as they sound in your mind at 3 a.m. I don't deserve wealth. People like me don't get to have financial ease. I am fundamentally flawed, and prosperity would expose me. If I have more, someone else will have less, and I am responsible for their lack. Wanting more makes me greedy, selfish, ungrateful. Write until your hand aches. Write until the page is full. Write until you have emptied the poison from the wound. Then, and this is where the ritual becomes real, you will destroy what you have written. Tear the paper. Slowly, deliberately. Feel the fibers separate. Feel the covenant coming apart in your hands. If you can do so safely, burn it. Watch the beliefs curl and blacken and turn to ash. Watch them become smoke. Watch them become nothing. If you cannot burn, bury. Return the words to the earth. Let the soil reclaim them. Why does this work? Because your mind thinks in symbols. Your body speaks in gestures. When you physically destroy the written covenant, you send a message deeper than thought. This agreement is void. This contract is terminated. This spell no longer binds me. Embodied ritual creates transformation that intellectual understanding cannot reach. You can know you are worthy and still feel unworthy. But when you enact the breaking, when you move it from concept to ceremony, the knowing descends into the body. The shift becomes real. Exercise 2. The Worthiness Mirror. Work each morning before the world makes its demands. You will stand before a mirror, not glancing, not checking, standing, facing, meeting your own gaze, and you will speak these words aloud. I am worthy of wealth. I am worthy of ease. I am worthy of receiving without earning. Hold your own eyes as you say them. Do not look away. Do not laugh it off. Do not dismiss the moment as silly or indulgent. Your reflection is a witness. Treat it as such. At first, the words will feel false. Your throat will tighten. Your eyes will water. Not from emotion, but from the sheer discomfort of the act. Good. That discomfort is the covenant fighting for its life. Keep speaking. Keep looking. Keep holding the gaze. Say it again. I am worthy of wealth. I am worthy of ease. I am worthy of receiving without earning. Add your own declarations. Speak to your specific wounds. I am worthy of success my parents never had. I am worthy of rest. I am worthy of abundance that arrives easily. Do this daily. Not when you feel like it. Daily. The mirror does not lie. It shows you the truth you have been avoiding. You are here. You are real. You are worthy. Not because of what you've done, but because you exist. Worthiness is not earned. It is inherent. It is original. It is the ground upon which you stand, not the summit you must reach. Exercise 3. The receiving practice. Now we move into the world. For the next 30 days, you will practice receiving without deflection. When someone compliments you, you will not minimize it. You will not return it immediately. You will not explain it away. You will say, "Thank you." And then, silence. Let the gift land. Let it be received. When someone offers help, you will not refuse out of pride or politeness. You will accept. When someone gives you a gift, you will not calculate what you owe in return. You will simply receive. Notice the discomfort. It will come. It will rise in your chest like a wave. Breathe into it. Let it move through you without obeying it. The discomfort is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are doing something new. The covenant is being overwritten, and the old program is protesting. Your ego will scream that this is arrogance, that you are becoming entitled, that you are losing your humility. It is lying. This is not arrogance. This is remembering. You are remembering that you were born worthy, that you did not have to earn your first breath, and you do not have to earn your prosperity. You are remembering that receiving is not taking, that accepting a gift does not create a debt, that being loved does not require you to become smaller. The second wall is crumbling. Can you feel it? The space opening? The light coming through? You are beginning to see the sky. But do not rest yet. There is one more spell, the most powerful of all, the one that has kept you circling the same altitude your entire life, no matter how hard you flapped your wings, the invisible ceiling, the upper limit, the place where you stop yourself just before breakthrough, and it is waiting for us now. Barrier 3. The prosperity ceiling, the upper limit you cannot see. There is a third spell, the most cunning of all. It does not tell you that you cannot have prosperity. It lets you taste it, touch it, come so close you can feel the warmth of it on your face. And then, gently, invisibly, it pulls you back down. This is the prosperity ceiling, the invisible upper limit beyond which you unconsciously refuse to rise. You have felt it. Perhaps you could not name it, but you have felt it. The plateau you keep hitting, the income level you cannot seem to exceed, the success that comes right up to a certain point, and then stalls, stops, reverses. You work harder, you strategize better, you push with everything you have, and still, the same altitude, the same ceiling, the same glass barrier you cannot see but keep striking with your forehead. Let me show you what is happening. Within your unconscious mind, there exists what I call a financial thermostat, a set point, a temperature at which you feel comfortable, safe, right, with the amount of prosperity in your life. Just as a thermostat in your home maintains a specific temperature, turning on the heat when it drops too low, activating the cooling when it rises too high. Your financial thermostat maintains your comfort zone for wealth. And here is the revelation that changes everything. This thermostat was set by someone else, by your family, by your community, by the unspoken agreements you absorbed before you had language to question them. Picture a bird, strong wings, healthy body, built for soaring. But watch what it does. It flies up to a certain branch, perches, then returns. Flies to the same height, circles, then returns. Again and again, the same altitude, the same branch. Not because it cannot fly higher, because it has decided, somewhere beneath conscious thought, that this is the right height. This is where birds like me belong. You are that bird, and you have been circling the same branch your entire life. Let me tell you about the entrepreneur. We will call her Maya. For 7 years, Maya built her business. Every year, her revenue climbed. 50,000, then 70, then 90. And then, at $95,000, something strange began to happen. Equipment would break. Clients would leave. She would make uncharacteristic financial decisions. Impulsive purchases, poorly timed investments. One year, a sudden health crisis that required expensive treatment. Every time she approached 100,000, something would pull her back down. She thought it was bad luck, the economy, Mercury in retrograde. But when we examined her history, the pattern was undeniable. Her father, a good man, a kind man, had never earned more than 90,000 in his best year. To exceed that number was not just success, it was, in the logic of the unconscious, betrayal. Or consider the employee, we will call him David. 3 times he was on the verge of promotion. 3 times he fell mysteriously ill the week before the final interview. Not sick enough to be hospitalized, just sick enough to miss the opportunity. His body, wiser than his conscious mind, was protecting him from a danger he could not see. The danger of outgrowing his origins. Listen closely, because this is where the spell reveals its true nature. To have more than your parents is to betray them. To succeed beyond your community is to abandon them. This is the unconscious covenant, the tribal loyalty that binds you to the ceiling. You learned it early. You learned it in 1,000 wordless ways. The tension in the room when someone in the family got above their raising. The subtle coldness toward the cousin who moved away and made good. The jokes about people with money, how they are shallow, disconnected, corrupt. And beneath all of it, the unspoken commandment. Stay with us. Stay at our level. To rise is to leave, and to leave is to betray. So you stay small. Not because you lack ambition, not because you lack skill, because staying small keeps you safe, keeps you connected, keeps you loyal. You have been bumping your head against this ceiling your entire life, and you thought it was the sky. But here is what you must understand about the mechanism. The ceiling does not hold you down through force. It holds you down through self-correction. Every time you get close to breaking through, every time you almost touch the next level, every time you reach toward the prosperity that exceeds your set point, your unconscious mind activates the correction mechanism. It creates crisis, sudden expenses, sabotaging decisions, relationship explosions, health emergencies, anything that will bring you back to the familiar altitude. Because the unfamiliar, even when it is better, registers as dangerous. Your nervous system was not designed to distinguish between unfamiliar and good and unfamiliar and threatening. It only knows, this is not what we know. Return to what we know. So you return, again and again, to the same income, the same level of success, the same safe, small, suffocating ceiling. And the cruelest part? You blame yourself. You think, I am not disciplined enough. I am not smart enough. I am not worthy enough. But discipline is not the issue. Intelligence is not the issue. Worthiness is not the issue. The issue is the invisible thermostat, humming away in the basement of your consciousness, maintaining the temperature your tribe set decades ago. Every time you get close, it kicks on. Every time you almost break through, it pulls you back. Every time you touch the next level, it whispers, "This is not for people like us. This is not safe. Come back down." And you obey. Not because you are weak, because you are loyal. Now, here is the revelation that will shatter everything. The ceiling is not imposed from above. There is no cosmic force holding you down. No external authority limiting your rise. The ceiling is not pressing down on you from the heavens. You are holding it in place from below. With both hands. With all your strength. With the full force of your unconscious loyalty and your nervous system's desperate need for the familiar. You are not a victim of the ceiling. You are the architect, the builder, the enforcer. And that is the most liberating truth you will ever hear. Because if you built it, you can unbuild it. If you are holding it in place, you can let it go. The cage was never locked from the outside. You have been holding the door closed with your own trembling hands. And now, you're going to let go. Breaking Barrier 3, the ceiling-shattering protocol. Now we work, now we act. No more theory, no more explanation, no more gentle exploration of what might be holding you back. You know what the ceiling is. You know where it came from. You know you built it with your own trembling hands. Brick by invisible brick. Agreement by unconscious agreement. And now, you are going to demolish it. Exercise 1. The set point revelation. Get a pen. Get paper. We are going on an archaeological dig through your financial history. Look back over the past 5 to 10 years. Scan your memory. Examine your bank statements if you need to. Ask yourself this question and answer it with brutal honesty. What is the most money you have ever had at one time? Write the number down. Now ask the second question, the one that reveals everything. What happened next? Did you have an unexpected expense? Did something break? Did you suddenly decide you needed something you'd been living without for years? Did you make an impulsive purchase? Did you lend money you never got back? Did you get sick? Did a relationship fall apart? Did you lose your job? Look at the pattern. This is not coincidence. This is not bad luck. This is not the universe conspiring against you. This is your financial thermostat, clicking on like clockwork, correcting your temperature back to the setting you've been programmed to maintain. The ceiling is not above you. It is in you. And the first step to shattering it is seeing it clearly, naming it precisely, acknowledging it fully. Write this sentence and fill in the blank. My financial ceiling is approximately. Every time I approach or exceed this amount, I unconsciously create to bring me back down. Be specific, be honest, be unflinching. The ceiling only has power in the dark. Bring it into the light. Exercise. 2. The permission letters. Here is where we engage the voices that installed the ceiling in the first place. You are going to write letters, but not from you. To you. Take your journal. At the top of a fresh page, write, "Letter from my father," or "Letter from my mother," or "Letter from my grandmother," whoever's financial limitations you absorbed most deeply. Then write the letter you needed to receive but never did. Write the permission you've been waiting for. Let them say, "I could not go beyond this point, but you can. I was bound by fears I could not name, but you are free. I taught you limitation because limitation was all I knew, but I release you from that teaching. Go further than I went. Earn more than I earned. Live more freely than I lived. This is not betrayal. This is the fulfillment of every hope I had for you." Write it in their voice. Let the words come. Let the tears come, if they come. You are externalizing the internalized voices. You are dialoguing with the guards at the gate of your prosperity, and you are hearing them say the words that unlock the door. This is not fantasy. This is deep psychological work. The part of you that carries their voice needs to hear this permission, even if you have to write it yourself, especially if you have to write it yourself. Exercise 3. The new identity rehearsal. Every single day, for the next 30 days, you are going to spend 10 minutes living in the future. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Settle your body. Now see yourself at the next level of prosperity. Not some fantasy version where you're a billionaire on a yacht, but the next level. The level just beyond your current ceiling. See yourself checking your bank balance and feeling calm. See yourself paying for something significant without anxiety. See yourself making a financial decision from abundance rather than scarcity. Feel the ease in your chest. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel how normal it is to have this much, to handle this much, to steward this much. Notice the calm. Notice the lack of panic. Notice how you are the same person, just operating at a different frequency. This is not wishful thinking. This is identity installation. You are teaching your nervous system that this level is safe, that this level is home, that this level is you. See it, feel it, embody it daily. Exercise 4. The incremental expansion. You do not shatter a ceiling by ramming your head against it until you bleed. You shatter it by expanding slowly, steadily, stretching the container of your capacity without triggering full-scale panic. Here is how. Identify your current ceiling. Now add 10%, not double, not 10 times, 10%. If your ceiling is $50,000 a year, aim for $55,000. If it's $5,000 in your savings account, aim for $5,500. The goal is not the number itself. The goal is to prove to your nervous system that you can survive beyond the old boundary. You are stretching the muscle, not tearing it. You are expanding the container, not exploding it. And here is what you must know. Your nervous system will panic. Your old programming will activate. You will feel anxiety. You will feel guilt. You will feel the urge to self-sabotage. This is normal. Breathe. Stay. Do not obey the panic. The ceiling will fight back. It will send you thoughts. Who do you think you are? This isn't for people like you. You're going to lose it all anyway. Have a plan to interrupt those thoughts. Speak back to them. Name them. Say aloud, "This is the ceiling defending itself. I see you. I do not obey you." The spell is breaking, and breaking things make noise. The cage is open. The spell is broken. The ceiling is gone. But listen closely. Breaking the spell is not the end. It is the beginning. You now see what was invisible. You now know what was hidden. The 3 barriers that held you, the scarcity trance, the unworthiness covenant, the prosperity ceiling, you have named them. You have faced them. You have begun the work of dismantling them. But hear me clearly. Breaking the spell is not a single moment of liberation. It is a daily practice of remaining awake. The spell will attempt to reassert itself. It will come through the voice of doubt in your mind at 3 a.m. It will come through the well-meaning friend who says, "You're changing," with disapproval in their tone. It will come through the familiar patterns that feel like comfort, like home, like safety. Old relationships will test you. Family gatherings will trigger the old agreements. Financial setbacks will whisper, "See? You were foolish to believe you could be different." The spell knows your address. It knows your weak points. It has been with you longer than your conscious memory. So you must develop maintenance practices, rituals of remembering. Each morning, check in with the three barriers. Ask yourself, where am I slipping back into the scarcity trance? Where am I doubting my worthiness? Where am I lowering the ceiling to feel safe? Do not judge what you find. Simply notice. Name it. Speak back to it. Keep your abundance inventory active. Keep your language clean of scarcity phrases. Keep your mirror work consistent, especially on the days you don't feel like it. Return to the ritual work. Burn another covenant if you need to. Write another permission letter. Visualize the expanded life again and again until your nervous system stops treating prosperity like an invader. Find community. Surround yourself with others who are also breaking the spell. The people still enchanted will not understand your transformation. They will feel threatened by it. You need witnesses who see clearly, who can say, "That's the spell talking," when you cannot see it yourself. This is not a one-time fix. This is a way of life. This is awakening every single day to the truth of who you are and what you are meant to carry. And here is the sacred truth they never told you. As you break free, you become a spell breaker for others. Your freedom is contagious. Your prosperity is permission. Your transformation is a portal. When you refuse the scarcity trance, you release everyone in your lineage who died believing there would never be enough. When you shatter the unworthiness covenant, you free your children from ever having to sign it. When you break through the prosperity ceiling, you show your community that the sky they thought was solid is actually open. You are not just healing yourself. You are healing the lineage behind you and lighting the path for those ahead. This is prosperity stewardship. With this freedom comes responsibility. You cannot break the money spell and then hoard what flows to you. You cannot step into abundance and clutch it with the same fear-driven fists that kept you poor. Wealth in the hands of the awakened becomes a tool for transformation. It builds, it heals, it liberates, it flows. Use it wisely. Use it generously. Use it consciously. The liberated life is not just about having more money. It is about a fundamentally transformed relationship with resources, with value, with worth. You will notice yourself making decisions from abundance rather than fear. You will see opportunities you walked past 1,000 times before. You will feel a strange new ease in your body when money comes. No guilt, no panic, no frantic grasping, just calm receiving. You will watch yourself give without resentment, spend without shame, save without anxiety. You will recognize the voice of the spell when it speaks, and you will smile and say, "I know you. You have no power here." The spell taught you that poverty was your natural state, and prosperity was a distant dream reserved for others. But the truth that has been waiting beneath the enchantment all along, is this. Prosperity is your natural state. Abundance is your inheritance. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you remember. Poverty was the spell, and you are waking up. The cage is open, the spell is broken, the ceiling is gone. Now comes the most important part, living like it. Conclusion. The exhortation and the call. Listen. Do you hear it? That sound, that's the sound of chains falling. That's the sound of glass shattering. That's the sound of a spell breaking after decades, perhaps generations, of silent dominion over your life. The scarcity trance, broken. The unworthiness covenant, dissolved. The prosperity ceiling, shattered. 3 invisible walls, 3 phantom barriers, 3 ancient enchantments that have governed your relationship with wealth, abundance, and your own divine inheritance. and now you see them. Now you know their names. Now you hold the power to unmake what was made in darkness and ignorance and fear. But here, right here, is where most people falter. Right here, at the threshold of liberation, they turn back. They pick up the chains and put them back on. They rebuild the walls with their own hands. They whisper the old incantations and fall back under the spell. Why? Because seeing the cage is not the same as walking out of it. Because knowing the spell is not the same as living free of it. Because understanding the barriers is not the same as refusing to honor them any longer. So I am speaking directly to you. Yes, you, the one who has been waiting for permission. The one who has been hoping for a sign. The one who has been standing at the threshold, afraid to step through. This is your moment. This is your liberation. This is your inheritance. You were never powerless. You were never truly trapped. You were under a spell so complete, so total, so convincing, that you mistook it for reality itself. You called your prison wisdom. You called your chains humility. You called your ceiling the way things are. But the truth has been waiting beneath the enchantment all along. Prosperity is not something you chase. Worthiness is not something you earn. Abundance is not something reserved for others, for the lucky, for the chosen. It is your natural state. It was always your natural state. And now you must choose. Will you honor what you now know? Or will you return to what you have always done? Will you practice the awakening? Or will you fall back asleep? Will you walk through the open door? Or will you remain in the cage, staring at freedom from a distance? Here's what I want you to do. Not someday, not when you feel ready, not when the circumstances align, but today, this week, right now. Choose one practice from each barrier. From the scarcity trance, begin the abundance inventory. Every morning for the next 7 days, write down 10 things you already possess that others would consider wealth. Not someday wealth, not fantasy wealth. Real, present, tangible wealth. Train your eyes to see what has always been there. From the unworthiness covenant, stand before a mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and speak these words aloud. I am worthy of wealth. I am worthy of ease. I am worthy of receiving without earning. Do this daily. Feel the resistance. Breathe through it. Let the old covenant burn in the fire of your new declaration. From the prosperity ceiling, identify your financial set point and write yourself a permission letter. Let your ancestors speak through your hand. Let them say what they could not say in life. You are permitted to exceed us. You are released from our limitations. You are free to rise beyond what we could imagine. 3 practices. 7 days. 1 transformed relationship with prosperity. The work is simple. The resistance will be fierce. Your ego will conjure 1,000 reasons why this won't work, why you're different, why your situation is the exception. That voice, that is the spell attempting to reassert itself. Do not listen. Do not negotiate. Do not wait. You are permitted. You are released. You are free. Imagine, just for a moment, a life where you walk in full prosperity, not striving for it, not chasing it, not performing elaborate rituals to attract it from some distant realm, but simply walking in it, as naturally as you breathe, as easily as you move through space. Imagine a life where the spell has no power, where scarcity is just a thought that passes through without taking root, where unworthiness is a memory, not a mandate, where the ceiling dissolves and you rise, not because you forced it, but because nothing is holding you down anymore. Imagine abundance flowing to you and through you, resources, opportunities, connections, ideas, not because you earned them or deserved them or hustled for them, but because you finally stopped blocking them. That life is not a fantasy. That life is not reserved for others. That life is yours right now, on the other side of this choice. The cage door is open. The spell is broken. The barriers have been named, exposed, and dismantled. Now comes the only question that matters. Will you walk through? Will you live like the spell is broken? Or will you keep acting as though you're still enchanted? The answer will be written not in your words, but in your choices. Not in your intentions, but in your actions. Not in your understanding, but in your practice. The spell is broken. Now, live like it.